Hello guys and welcome to the Gentleman's Debate. You're here yet again with Mickey, Simon.
Hello.
Samuel.
Good evening, afternoon, morning.
And our good producer Josh.
Whatever time
Good
it is.
morrow. Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to
meet
meet
you.
you people. We aren't.
You beautiful
Physically face to
motherfuckers.
face.
It's my inner foreigners coming out. Hello guys, nice to meet you.
Even though you can't actually physically see or interact with the people who are listening or viewing the podcast.
But
you
isn't
want to be
it a
nice.
meeting because we're opening a conversational channel?
I
Not a
wouldn't say
conversational
it's a
channel,
meeting.
like a medium to talk.
Yes, on multiple platforms.
So it's
As funnily enough, we're
it's a
on
meeting.
YouTube,
It's a meeting.
iTunes, SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go follow us there. Was that a cheesy plug?
If there's a way to plug it, you will find a way.
I found that the most shameless ways now get the most laughs because before they're trying to sneak it in there.
Yeah.
People can tell when it's like snuck in. You know,
It's like a car advert, and it's like just cuts into it, and it's like beauty, power, precision. They might as well just go, it's fucking cheap, why don't you buy it, Dave? And then Dave would be like, fucking buy it, yeah.
It's too much fluff. In all fairness, they should just be like, you want a car that's reliable and sturdy and safe. Just get a Volvo. 'Cause with that, we're not passionate and driven.
Just get a Volvo.
Just get a fucking Volvo.
Just get a Volvo. There you go, Volvo.
Speaking
Yo,
from
welcome.
experience,
Yeah,
I actually really like Volvos.
We're available for your marketing at any time, Volvo. Our going rate is £500 an hour, and we need beanbags.
And
Lots of
Well,
beanbags.
and
All I'm gonna
obviously
say
sponsorship, company
we
cars.
need
Is it-
sponsorship,
if
guys.
I had
Company
40
cars.
grand to spend on a car, I'd probably get an XC90 because those things
It's a good
are
shout.
like
It's a good shout. Anyway,
2-litre engine, right?
yeah.
Massive Jeep, 4-wheel drive, 40 miles to the gallon.
Are you on about all of the cars that you would own if you were a millionaire?
Yeah, I would get. Yeah, I would
Get an XC90.
Like a family car. It's like a 7-seat. Like out of all, I've driven them all. I've driven the Land Rovers. I've driven the X5. I've driven the Range Rovers. Everything in that class, and nothing is better for the price. Looks better. Is more reliable. Is safer than that.
Then a Volvo.
And the R design actually with the massive rims on it looks pretty sick as well.
So, guys, welcome to Top Gear.
Didn't I pick you up in one? Didn't I pick you up in one before?
No, you'd
wasn't
never
it?
pick me up in an
This is
XC90.
the bed. This is the best podcast in the world.
Have you
Shout
have
out
you
Does
heard
that
Jeremy
make Josh the
Clarkson.
Stig?
Theoretically, because no one sees his face.
That's true.
Fucking hell.
Josh is the stick.
So what was it? Who's Jeremy Clarkson?
Some say.
Who's Jeremy,
I'm
who's
probably
Clarkson?
Hammond.
Yeah, okay. I can see
Yeah.
that, yeah.
It's a
How many
Who's
crashes
May?
have you been in?
Who's May and who's
Several.
Clarkson?
How's your
Fuck it, I'll be
How's your
May.
memory?
What?
How's
I'll
your
be May.
memory?
What?
Have you heard what they're trying to do? They're trying to break the world speed record for amphibious cars on water.
Amphibious cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
Cars
in-
that can drive across water as well as land.
And also, I
Because
read
they've
the
been
article.
going-
I don't know why. I just thought of some sort of weird car lizard hybrid thing, and I've no idea
Do
why.
you know what
back on the
the
whole
speed record
Top
is?
Gear
Wait.
Grand Tour thing.
Oh.
Jeremy Clarkson's recently said that Richard Hammond has like a 5-second memory now.
Oh,
After all
yeah.
the crashes.
No.
Let's debate whether it's right, but he's still on the Grand Tour.
Yes.
It's- no,
Because he's
it's-
earning money for his family. Done.
And it's
Debate
Hammond.
over.
It's like it's
But
James May,
5-second
Jeremy
memory,
Clarkson, and
that's
Hammond.
obviously a risk.
It
Yeah,
just
but
it just
big
reminds
risk.
me
remember
of
when-
that.
Do you remember
Conversation
when
at
they
a
did-
time. One conversation at a fucking time.
It just reminds me of that Frankie Ball joke that was on Mock the Week.
Go
that
on.
got cut out, where they were saying that they think Frankie Ball was like, I think the anti-speeding advert should be just footage of Richard Hammond trying to remember his own wedding day.
Dude, I like them guys. Come on. Come on. Don't bring Frankie Boyle into our
Fucking
lives.
Frankie Boyle.
Frankie Boyle. Do you not like Frankie Boyle?
I love Frankie Boyle.
I was going to say.
No.
You right, Josh?
Did
Hi,
you,
Frankie.
did you
You're
hear
not
that when he
watching.
woke up, he actually couldn't remember pretty much anything, and he looked at his wife and he had a crush on her.
Oh.
He was like, I had a crush on my wife when I saw her, and she's like, I'm your wife. He's like, oh.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, pass me.
Good job. Self-eye.
Nah, he did remember. He was just trying to get laid that night.
Everything.
Hi,
can,
Richard.
everything can be turned dark. Everything.
Oh Lord. So, Josh.
Thing is, knowing those guys, I say knowing those guys, I don't fucking know them,
You've
but
never
like,
met them.
you
Shut
know,
up.
From what you can tell about their personalities, they'd probably enjoy these kind of jokes,
Yeah.
especially Clarkson.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not the whole wife thing with Hammond because he is quite angry.
But it's Frankie Ball that said it, not me.
Yeah.
I just brought
Frankie
it back
Boyle's
up again.
such a savage. So, Josh, what have you been up to this week?
God, I love it.
We'll get onto that. We'll get onto that.
Just work.
Just work.
Just work.
Just work. And what's
Fun conversation, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And what's your business's name?
I'm not telling.
Is it by any chance York Video Productions?
It could be.
By any chance does it do any videography, photography work in the York area?
Might
And
be.
is ready for people's contracts ready to go now.
Might be
Did-
known
did
as
you
York
think-
Video Pro.
York Video Pro at Instagram, Twitter.
Did you
and
think you meant your
Facebook.
actual job then?
Yes.
what I would suggest is we talked
ain't
about this
telling you.
before.
Hire me, please.
Get a drone. Get a drone, and then you can film weddings and do all that. And if that doesn't pan out, stick it full of drugs, and you can become a drug dealer.
Boom. So what was you? So previous podcast we've said to Josh you should definitely work in the porn industry.
foreshadowing, funny news.
Another funny news article about
Really?
drugs. Interesting. Good.
Drugs and
Drugs and
I
drones.
mean, funny news, drugs, they go hand in hand.
not drones, but
Very Moorish.
Drones or drugs?
just drugs.
All right.
Just
Okay.
They're crazy now.
I was-
There's a drone you can get that has a 70-mile range. No, sorry,
Is it weird that
10-mile
I
range.
can't-
It can go 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It can carry 500 grams, half a kilogram of whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whatever
Is it-
you may need.
Is it weird that I can't hear the
People
word
are
drones
delivering
now
each
without
other.
thinking of Muse? You know they do drone racing.
Oh,
Yeah,
you can't speak
Yeah.
about Muse after last episode.
Shut up.
Go back and
But
watch
you know,
the
Matt
previous
Bellamy
episode.
actually invested in the drone racing circuits.
Did he?
Yeah,
Who?
because he's a nut job.
Have you
'Cause he's a
apologised to Matt
bully.
Bellamy yet?
Yeah.
Who invested in it?
Have you apologised to Matt Bellamy yet?
The lead singer.
No.
Lead singer.
Apologise
Oh,
Why?
because you forgot his lyrics.
No, I didn't. It's a complete lie. There's no evidence to back that up, especially not on the last podcast.
It's
Shut
not
up.
like we recorded the
is that
video.
is that
and
how
the
your
audio
fart
separately.
sound after last episode?
Episode 24.
Okay, I'll
Yes,
stop
go back and watch that episode
Watch
to
it,
find out
guys.
how Sam fucked that up so bad.
Go back and watch the episode because it's a great episode. But just gloss
now.
over
Also,
that bit.
first bit of news:
Yeah.
this crazy dude called Elon Musk basically shot his own car up into space
Yeah, why did he do that?
Why did he do it?
Because
he's
Elon
Because
Musk.
he's Elon
Money.
fucking Musk. He's the guy who invented PayPal. He's the guy who earns a bit of money off of every single electronic transaction that goes on.
Oh, he sold that now.
But he sold it for...
He made $220
fuck ton.
million out of it.
And then
Pocket change.
he now has an exclusive contract to NASA to do for SpaceX.
He's the CEO of two companies who are both multi-billion-dollar
He owns
companies.
Tesla.
I like what because he was doing a talk at probably some American university somewhere or something, and one of them asked him what a question about becoming an entrepreneur.
Josh
it's
is
quite
dying.
interesting.
He's all right, Josh.
Josh, when you finish dying, could you just look it up?
dude's crazy.
Elon Musk asked about being an entrepreneur.
Do you know how much he's worth now?
Go on.
$20 billion.
Pocket change.
$20 billion.
20 billion. Man, I'm going to get a slice
He's
of
sending
that.
rockets up into space, and he failed like multitude of times. He nearly went bankrupt with Tesla, which is now worth $60 billion. It was worth more than Ford at one point. Ford Motor Company, which sell the most cars out of anyone except Toyota in the world, as far as I'm aware. And now he's planning to create a colony in Mars by 2025.
Oh yeah, yeah, I heard
So
about that.
part of the story to do with the rocket sending his car up there. The whole point was he was going to send the car into orbit around Mars as like a foreshadowing of we're going to Mars. The rocket was so powerful that they mistimed it. It overshot Mars, and now it's traveling towards Jupiter. And somebody was like, "Oh, well, you failed your mission," and he kind of went, "Aye, but I don't give a fuck." I'm Elon Musk. I can. What are you going to do, pleb?
You could turn they could turn that around and just be like, "What? I failed my mission. I aimed for Mars. I got Jupiter."
Isn't Falcon Heavy meant to be one of the biggest rockets ever launched?
So it's not the most powerful ever, but it's the most powerful currently.
Yeah, it's
So
the
the
most,
most powerful ever was the Saturn V rocket.
but it's not that much smaller than that.
But
Apparently.
it's very close to being. It was very close to being as powerful.
And do you see the image of the little boosters flying back down to Earth? I'm like, we're living in the future. Literally, like it feels like spaceships are landing, and because that literally
Good
that's
PR
what,
stunt for two things. for two companies. For Tesla, good PR stunt. 'cause
Massive PR stuff.
Your car can survive in space.
Do you see the image of the
Unique
guy
selling point.
just like in space, and there's a car floating around, and it says on the dashboard, "Don't panic."
Yeah, I like that. It's good. And then it's a good.
And there's just a guy and his wife in there, and he's just like, should never have fucking let you do the directions.
Oh, not no.
Somebody made a really good joke. They said Elon Musk, the only guy who could ever get away with disposing of a dead hooker in the boot of a car. By firing him. Imagine if there was. It's just a dead hooker in the boot of the fucking roadster. And he just went, man, I need to get rid of it. Hang on a second, I own a rocket company. Blast into space.
Literally anyone that pisses him off now. Do you want me to shoot you off into space?
Do you want me to roll you up in a carpet, put you in the boot of my car, and fire you into fucking space? Because I'm Elon Musk and I can do that at least 20 times. At least.
I followed his entire like he borrowed $28,000 from his dad, and him and his brother started Zip2, which was like a company that was helping media companies, something to do with publishing news online and stuff like that. He sold that for $300 million, made $18 million of that, put half his money into PayPal, which was 10 million, turned that into 220 million after he merged XPay and PayPal together.
So eBay paid 1.5 billion.
Yeah, he was the majority.
1.5 billion. Yep. Oh, that makes me moist.
They've sold it now, though, haven't they?
No, he sold that, and then he basically got into Tesla, and at the same time decided, I don't have enough on my plate, so I'm going to start a company that rockets up into space. Because what happened is he was thinking about creating a greenhouse on Mars and then putting mice in it. So he went to Russia, right? And he asked them for a intercontinental ballistic missile, because that's what you do on a Sunday when you go to Russia. You ask them for an intercontinental. And basically what happened is they said they were rude and disrespectful, and they're like, it's $8 million. And he's like, he thought it was overpriced, and he said, oh, what? You can't afford it, little boy. That's actually what they said in the meeting. So he said, I think I'll be able to build it better myself, and stormed out the meeting. And then he created a fucking space fucking company.
When you think about it, you know when somebody goes like Donald Trump, for example. So this is just a kind of a segue, but you'll see the point I'll tie together between Elon Musk and Trump. Trump has that. If you tell me not to do something, I'm going to do the exact opposite. So Barack Obama apparently said to him during like one of these like meetings they have where they gather everybody in, he said, like, they were making a joke, and he started making a joke about Donald Trump, and he said, you might be the richest person, or you might be a property magnate in New York, but you'll never be the president of the United States, and looked him in the eyes. And Donald Trump pans to Donald Trump, and you can see Donald Trump going, motherfucker. And now look at him. Look at him.
You know, when he was running for the race, I actually found out something about him, and it was something to do with the fact that these 6 business magnates somehow screwed him over on a deal or something like that.
Right.
30 years ago. They're all out of business and broke now. And apparently he systematically went after them all and destroyed them. And I'm like, if this guy can hold a grudge for 30... You know what that thing he did with the White House Correspondents' Dinner?
Really?
Where he said, I've got my birth certificate, but Obama did. And then he showed a picture of the Lion King. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
There was a thing, and then it panned over to Donald Trump, and you could tell he was talking about Donald Trump, saying, "There's some people in this crowd who, want me to show my birth certificate, and here it is." And then he looks over him, and you see Donald Trump just going, I'm going to destroy your legacy, and that's what he's doing. He's gutted Obamacare.
I just like what you were saying about Donald Trump holding a grudge.
Don't make enemies like that. Don't do it.
It really makes you think, what the fuck did a Mexican do to him at some point in his life for him to just go, well,
you did not cut my grass to the proper specifications.
It probably is something
actually,
like that.
I'm quite worried if Donald Trump actually sees this, he'll have a grudge on us now. He's quite renowned for going after his grudges. Like to a point.
It's all right.
It's like you're there at the ends of the earth. You know that thing?
We haven't actually said anything derogatory about Trump, weirdly.
No, but the thing is, he's the sort of guy that would take it the wrong way. You could tell.
Right, okay, well, this balances out. Mad respect, Donald Trump. There we go, done. Right.
It did achieve
cool.
a lot, but
Josh,
crazy.
I put an article on that laptop.
So, do you feel dirty after that? Because
No.
you should.
No, it's all right. It's Donald Trump, mate. He's the best white dude going, apart from Elon Musk. Think about it.
I thought you were going to say apart from me.
He's literally the best.
Should that be the debate?
He's the highest ranking white dude right now.
That could be a really good debate.
He's the highest
Donald
ranking
Trump.
white.
Have
dude.
you also seen what's happening to the American stock markets at the moment?
Everything's going. Everything's going. Even the European and the British ones are going.
Yeah.
But
I think I think some people need money for something.
Oh yeah,
but-
because we're fucked because we're just being run by a bunch of twats.
Anyway.
No, everyone's being run by a bunch of twats. It's
So
the entire
moving on to the
society.
debate.
Which
Yeah.
Donald Trump, best white guy or not?
Yes.
Actually, Ray, do you want to do that debate?
I don't know. I did
The
put
best
an article
white
up.
guy.
There's an article about
Do you want everyone in the world to be
Josh.
annoyed by us?
Josh. I put an article on there about the Islamic terrorist things. Can you just read that part of that article out, please?
So Islamic State Beatles duo should be tried at the Hague.
Yes. Okay. So the background of this is the one I wanted to debate because we actually found something to debate because during the week we were struggling to figure out what we should debate.
I wish I knew this sooner, so I had
Now.
some more information on it.
This is off the cuff stuff, so this is perfect for it because it's like just your own sort of like because the debate really is going to be these Islamic State guys were these are British guys who went over to Syria and were fighting in Syria for Islamic State. And then what happened was they became part of like a 4-man team nicknamed the Beatles, inverted commas, because there's 4 of them. Don't know which one's Ringo, probably the shit one with the shit haircut.
Want that cat fire in a straight line?
Hey, nice. But basically, they are responsible for beheading or executing 72 hostages.
Fuck.
Yeah, one of them being a British aid worker. He was in the news a while back.
We really
and
go
also
deep
the
and heavy.
American journalist. Is it Ben Foley or something like that?
Fogley.
Yeah,
Fogley?
Yeah,
Can't remember his surname. James Foley.
Oh, James
Hey, I
Foley.
got the surname right, but I got the first name wrong.
I was thinking
James
Ben
Foley,
Fogel, but he's still alive.
Beheaded him. And basically, 2 of the guys are killed in fighting in Syria. And then the 2 others were captured by the Kurdish freedom fighters called the YPG or the YPJ.
It's great. The Kurdish are fighting all over the world right now. They're fighting in Turkey.
You know
They're
what
fighting
they're having to do? Like Turkey's launched a fucking assault on them
Yep.
from Turkey.
Yep.
Then they're fighting in Iraq.
Yep.
They're fighting in Syria.
Everywhere.
Literally
the Kurdish are like the new Jews. Seriously,
They are
getting,
but they're so gangster.
they're crazy. You know, like literally, I used to work for a Kurdish dude. It's fucking insane.
They are so gangster. There's a really good in York. Shout out to the Kurds in York. There's a really good Kurdish hairdressers on Bootham. I don't know anything about
There's
it.
a really good Kurdish hairdressers down next to Blossom Street where I get my
yeah.
hair
Loads
done.
for some reason they all came to York. Anyway.
Well, it's almost like they're getting persecuted everywhere they go.
Yeah, exactly. Poor fuckers.
So they're like, fuck this
but
shit.
here is the thing. So everyone wants to bring them back to basically doing for war crimes, even though technically they're not fighting a war. They're freedom fighters technically, so they're not aligned to. It's not like it's Britain,
But they're
who's in
fighting
there.
for the side of ISIS.
Yeah, but the problem is that because they're fighting for a terrorist group and they're not fighting underneath a flag.
Think about
Technically,
this
the
way,
rules of
though.
war don't apply.
Think about it this way. What if there's more people in the UK who are thinking of doing that, and the people that have gone get no repercussions?
No. So
That's going to open up a tidal wave of people
So what I'm saying
who get
is
radicalized here.
the debate that we're going to have is we'll do the flip of the coin and everything like that. So somebody get a coin ready in a second. The way the debate is whether they should be tried at the Hague for war crimes. Just dump all of them out. Put the powerful pound coin over to Sam. And should they be done for war crimes? Smooth, man.
Nearly.
Or should they be executed? You fucking dropped the coin, you idiot. Should they be done for war crimes at the Hague? Or should they just be flat out, just straight executed? That's the debate.
So similar to like the last debate, but this time it's ISIS.
This time it's ISIS, yeah.
Okay,
It was either sent to Guantanamo Bay, like
Oh.
straight there, or done for war crimes.
Oh, so they want to send them
And-
to Guantanamo?
Yeah,
Is that what they want to do?
possibly. Yeah.
Ooh, which one? Well, surely
Did you
you
hear
just try
something-
them at the Hague and then put them in fucking
They
Guantanamo
don't. They
Bay.
don't call them prisoners in Guantanamo Bay because prisoners are subject to the Geneva Convention and detainees aren't.
So it's either
Okay.
try them in International Criminal Court or send them to Guantanamo Bay.
So is that a debate?
Yeah.
Oh, should we have that debate rather than my one about
Well-
just killing them?
I mean,
To be honest,
what you
I mean, either one is. And I think that.
I would also like to talk about what the conditions that materialize within the UK as to why, not just the UK, all over the Western world, as to why these people get radicalized. How do they get the information? How do they get these radical views? Is it connections between family? Is it something that happens here that makes them be in a wealthy, affluent country, be admitted here, and then they go over and fight in a Middle Eastern... How old were they, by the way?
Josh? Do we know how
Were they in
old
their
are?
20s? Young males
I think
usually
they're
have
I think they're in the
suffer
20s. They're quite
from this
young.
affliction. They want them to prove something to the world, very prideful. It's usually the young males that are the ones that
So who wants
Do
to
this
be
sort of
devil's
stuff,
advocate
unfortunately.
on this
Well,
one?
I
You got-
have the power coin, and
you-
I haven't been devil's advocate yet. So,
No, so it's me versus you on this debate. So it's
Right.
Mickey versus Simon for the guys on the audio.
And we will argue. This is a disclaimer. We will argue the point, even though we might not fully agree with it ourselves. This is to basically
Let's have a well-rounded conversation so that
try
people,
to just get to the bottom of it. Because sometimes
people who are listening or watching who might have differing opinions will now know that it's not actually, like, it might not be our actual personal opinion with what we say, but we're basically just trying to bring up points so that we can.
and in
have a
general, we're
conversation.
trying to evolve our own opinions from this.
So-
Because if you jump from one side to the other, that's the only way
We need to figure out who's going to say they should go to Guantanamo and who should say they go to they should be tried at the Hague for war crimes.
right.
And
So I'll flip for Mickey.
Okay.
So heads is Guantanamo.
Yep.
Tails is war crimes.
Never has that sentence been uttered.
Tails, you are war crimes. You are Guantanamo.
Guantanamo Bay. This will stay at the Hotel Guantanamo Bay.
Which should have been closed already.
Well, Donald Trump wants to expand it. Anyway.
Of course he does.
Let's make it a seaside property. Let's put a few lighthouses in there. Let's put a few extra walls. It's gonna look great.
Let's make this a luxury experience.
I tell you what, if people are like, I'm getting sent to Guantanamo Bay, they're going, I love it. There was nowhere else. I could have
Going to
gone.
relocate Guantanamo Bay to China.
Put it in Mar-a-Lago. See how much he likes it.
I think what they should do is put it on an oil rig, but have the inmates every so often have to do a burlesque dance.
That sounds like a.
Reenact the scenes of Flashdance.
That sounds like the plot of a really bad Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
It is.
I'm glad I've
Is it
watched
actually?
Yeah, I'm writing it now.
I watched a film recently about Guantanamo Bay with Kirsten Stewart.
Kirsten. Oh shit! I've seen that one where she gets like she falls in love with an inmate.
She doesn't fall in love with him. She just kind of likes him.
She wants to fuck. That's what she wants to do. She wants to fuck that
You
date.
cannot fall in love with me. I'm a burlesque dancer now.
And
I'm
apparently,
working on this oil rig. Come on, guys.
what
Come
they
on.
do, and this is apparently just I don't know if it's just a film, but they do something called the soup or something daft like that, where they basically shit in a cup. And
No, that's disgusting. Shit and piss in a cup and then throw it on someone. Man, that's dark. Right. Anyway, off that dark subject, we'll move to a more dark subject.
Okay.
Me and Mickey, with Sam mediating, is the devil's advocate, our powerful position, which is a real job at the Vatican, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. There is a job where somebody is literally a priest is paid to be the devil's advocate, which I quite think is an interesting thing.
You've never mentioned that before.
I've mentioned it loads of times because whenever I hear that
Because
fact,
that's your dream
it's
job.
It's such a good job. Yeah, I have to be a priest though. I couldn't be a priest.
No, I
could
couldn't be a priest.
Couldn't be a priest.
Oh, there's another story where no.
Anyway, wait. So, me and you. So you are
War crimes.
taken to the
Guantanamo.
Hague. I'm Guantanamo Bay, motherfucker. So I'm freedom. Hashtag freedom.
Is it freedom? Not making everyone in the international community?
American freedom.
Is
Hashtag
it-
democracy.
Are America the world police then? Are they the ones
Anyway.
that
We
get to
are the
decide?
most free country in the world, man, but we
So,
can't do anything.
Sam,
And we also have a slave labor system that basically imprisons people and makes them work for 15 cents an hour.
Yep.
Sam, you
We do
will
that.
start us off,
Yes.
and then we'll go.
Right,
and then
guys.
You keep steering us back on course when we deviate, please.
Let the debate commence. First off, I am going to go because I flipped for Mickey. I will now go to Simon. Please make your first opening point.
I feel so professional. So, should the Beatles, the last two of them left anyway, should they be going to Guantanamo Bay? Obviously, my argument is yes, they should. But why should they?
He doesn't know. He's trying to figure it
Yeah,
out.
it's a little bit difficult, if I'm honest. When it comes to putting them in Guantanamo Bay, that is where basically
The most war crimes are committed.
Just give us a little bit of background about
for people
Guantanamo.
who don't know about Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
So Guantanamo Bay is a U.S. Army base on Cuba. Now, technically,
Right at the far right tip
it's
of
right
Cuba.
in the tip, and it's right at the tip.
We take our serious news very seriously.
No, I remember
here.
I googled where
Right in the
Guantanamo Bay was the other day.
Right on the tip. So basically, it's a throwback to kind of Cold War era where America used to be in control of Cuba before the Cubans found communism and they had an entire revolution of their country. But America kept control of that army base as it's technically American sovereign land. But because it's not on American mainland, they can basically extradite prisoners or detainees, as we will cover this probably, Mickey, in a bit. Detainees to that facility and use advanced interrogation methods. So
basically torture
forms
techniques.
of torture.
A lot of waterboarding.
To extract information from basically political and terrorist.
Have you heard of the frequent flyer thing?
No, what's frequent flyer?
Where they basically won't let a prisoner sleep. They can't get a detainee.
Yeah.
And then every 2 hours, they will wake you up and move you to another cell.
That's dark.
So every time, and they do this for days on end and weeks on end, where they'll be like, wake up, and then drag you out, and if you don't want to go, they'll literally restrain you, throw you in another room, and then you try to fall asleep again, and then they wake you up again.
Yeah, sleep.
So you're in a
Sleep
perpetual
deprivation is-
perpetual
yeah.
level of not being able to sleep. Imagine getting woken up in the middle of the night and someone just going, get up.
Yeah, so that's what they kind of do. It is a U.S. Army facility, so it's U.S. Army is basically the ones who run that facility. They look after the inmates, look after inverted commas, and basically this is where a lot of the world, for America anyway, a lot of people are
America's
detained.
prison,
It's an American site basically, but there has been other countries who've handed over detainees. So there was an example of where Britain handed over people to go to Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, because we
France
are
has done
America's
it,
little
Spain has
bitch.
done it, Germany has done it.
Yeah.
Every country's basically done it.
Who did we send over?
It was 2 guys who were fighting for Al Qaeda that were detained.
Why is America, by de facto, the world's
So
police, and they decide something
way I'd put it
outside the
is-
international community?
I'll come to that in a bit, but so that's the background about Guantanamo Bay. Why should you put these 2 Islamic State fighters in Guantanamo Bay? The point I would say is Guantanamo Bay is possibly the most secure and most apt place to be placing what is in effect 2 terrorists.
And you know that they'll probably be tortured as well. Which at the end of the day, they are ISIS, and there's a lot of people that would say, well, they deserve to be tortured. But if you're a human being that enjoys when someone else gets tortured, whoever they are, torture in itself is fucked up, then you've got to look at yourself and think, why am I enjoying the torture of another person?
So with the problem is that it's not exactly like these people are people who just committed normal crimes. So they're not
So they're
not like
subject to the international community.
so they're not
Just like Simon.
they're not like
I like this position of power.
it's not like they've committed normal crimes in terms of they have is it 72, Josh? 72 people that
Yeah, I think it was
executed.
72.
It's
yeah,
fucked
yeah.
up.
So they have executed 72 aid workers.
Yeah, that's wrong.
So they beheaded them on basically live streaming on YouTube.
Why Guantanamo Bay? They
On
should have a
YouTube?
bullet to the head.
Oh, was it just they put it out on the dark web?
So they would put it. They just basically were able.
Oh,
to
just
put,
the web.
They just put it out onto their
Right,
sites, and they would behead them. They fought in Syria, etc. These 2 guys, they are British. So the argument is like, well, should they be tried in Britain? My argument basically would be you need to put them in a facility where you have everybody else. Like that's where pretty much every single other terrorist, every single other person who is committed these crimes is put, and the information they hold about ISIS
We'll go to America.
is yes. To go
So
to
you're
Guantanamo
basically
Bay.
So
admitting that America is the de facto world police, and they get to decide what happens, even if
So
someone is a sovereign,
what you're saying is
civilian of a sovereign country.
Have the worst of the worst in the same place.
have the worst of the worst in the same place. And to answer Mickey's question, yes, America's the police of the
Who gets the intel?
Mickey, could you do your opening statement?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Like, to be fair, he's already kind of told it to me. The international community is in charge of international matters. This is an international matter. ISIS spread all over the Middle East. You can argue, and you would be right, that America supported ISIS and gave them $2 billion, and this is just what's being accounted for, to fight Assad. And now it became a powder keg that destroyed and reverberated around the entire Middle East. So they caused this shitstorm in the first place. So you can say, oh, well, these hostages and stuff like that were killed by these people. Yeah, you're right, they were in the wrong, but also you can't deny the people that actually started this.
So what?
And you know what? You know why it was? Does anyone want to know the reason why this all happened in Syria, and what was the reason for it?
Oil?
Yes. So basically, Saudi Arabia wanted to run a pipeline all the way to Europe from Saudi Arabia. What happens at the moment is Russia is the main supplier through pipelines of natural gas to Europe. And if Europe get tetchy, they could just turn off the taps. So they wanted to undercut them and go through Saudi Arabia. Now the problem is there's a country in the way. The country is Syria. Assad wouldn't let them. Assad was allied with Putin. So what they did is, let's destabilize the government, like we've done to a million other places. Let's put in our own puppet and we're good. They didn't account for how fucking crazy the Russians are. The Russians are, we're not going to let you take away our geopolitical advantage. So it basically ended this proxy war in 8 million people displaced. Syria was a population of 20 million people. It's now down to 12. And people say, oh, well, we took in 100,000 refugees from Sweden alone. Jordan took in 2 million.
Right.
40% of their entire population, as far as I'm aware, Jordan took in. And this all happened because America is the world police, because America decides what to do with all the criminals, because America says that we're going to go there, we're going to fuck that up, we're going to fuck that up, we're going to fuck that up.
Just little
That's my alarm.
Turn the alarm off.
Why have you got an alarm set for now?
It says snooze. I should slow down a bit.
Just a little segue. I think it's great how you're saying America World Please, because it just reminds me of Team America World Please. America, fuck yeah. Right, so could you just sort of go to your overall argument? So your argument is for them to be...
Sorry, I got a bit passionate there.
I was gonna
completely...
So your argument is for them to be tried internationally for their for war crimes.
International issue.
Yeah.
The international courts should collectively decide what to do with these men. The international courts will no doubt put them in prison, a very secure prison under the Geneva Convention, so they don't get...
Do you want to just go into a little bit of detail about the Geneva Convention, just so in case people don't know?
I don't know the full details of what the legislation is.
Could you
so
just
the Geneva
fill in
war,
that?
the Geneva...
I'm not saying full details, just
I know
like
that you're not allowed
overview.
to use chemical warfare, you're not allowed to use torture techniques.
So it depends on... So the most modern version of the Geneva War Convention...
Convention.
Treatment of war criminals, I believe.
Basically would state that anyone who commits war crimes, so the definition of war crimes would be targeting civilians, killing or your enemies' prisoners. So prisoners of war, you basically just execute them or commit them to slavery. Basically, the whole point is that you have country versus country, and in terms of that country versus country, you have to respect the other person's military operation. So if say for example me and Sam had a war and we had little pawns,
I'm so winning that.
If we had little pawns to fight with, then if some of my pawns were taken by you, you'd have to look after them and keep them safe.
Right. Okay.
So that basically, once the war had been settled, we can exchange prisoners and everything's fine after that.
Right.
You're also not allowed to use certain types of weaponry, so chemical. Biological, nuclear is also
which is
banned.
the sarin gas, which they've just disproved recently, actually.
Then you've also got, you're not allowed to use certain types of munitions, so I'm not allowed to use, for example, exploding bullets. That's one thing that was banned. There's a lot of stuff to the entire Geneva War Convention.
What is it, mustard gas is also...
However, there is one... Well, that's chemical warfare.
Yeah.
There is one thing about it that's a very strong distinction, and that was actually tied... so Hitler made this distinction during World War II.
Here's our plug to Mein Führer.
You need to have a distinction of your combatants. So the issue you have is, so you have no real government. The only government really that's there is the Syrian government, who has a Syrian army. And you have the Russian army, and you have the American army, and maybe some British, and maybe French, etc. But they're all nation states with their proper armies. The YPG, which is the rebels, and YPJ, which is the female division of the YPG, are the Kurdish rebels there. They're not technically an army. They're just a terrorist group or freedom fighter group. The ISIS are not either. They're not a country. They have no flag. They haven't signed to the Geneva Convention.
They're not recognized by...
So they're not recognized by the Geneva Convention. So technically, they're just people who are fight. They're basically
those people don't apply to the Geneva Convention.
So to tie it back, Hitler during World War II, when the Commandos and the OSS and the SOE, which are basically British and American spies that were flown into France just before D-Day to try and disrupt them, he classified anyone who's not wearing military garb, so basically not showing military basically
attire.
Uniform,
Yeah.
can be treated as spies and can be executed on the spot. That still rings true to today. So basically,
It seems like a workaround where you're basically saying that
it's not a workaround. It's the fact that basically you know that you are conducting in non-linear warfare. So conducting non-linear warfare means that all of the rules about linear warfare do not apply to you.
So it's basically it's pure technicality to basically say.
But you know it when you sign up. Now also you're fighting against.
So you can be tortured basically because you know it's.
Yes, but that applies to.
So you've got no more human rights because you're not wearing a uniform.
Correct.
People used to line people up in fields and then during the Napoleonic Wars and just shoot at each other. Warfare changes.
Yes, it does, but the Geneva Convention hasn't. And this is the argument.
Yeah, the Geneva Convention was there to keep people's basic human rights even when they're a prisoner of war. Anytime you take away someone's human rights, you no longer classify them as human.
But they're not. First of all, they're not prisoners, and second of all, it's not a war. It's not a proper war. It's a civil war.
Okay, you'll get through on technicalities.
So civil war. The
technicalities is the reason why they're going to Guantanamo Bay instead of letting the international community deal with it.
We don't know actually, because we don't know what's happening.
That's what's going to end up happening.
But the YPG have captured them. So the YPG is what's the YPG stand for? But I know it's the Kurdish rebels. Could you find out what YPG stands for? Josh, thank you. But basically, they captured them. And you've got all the evidence you possibly would want to basically try them for any crime. So in terms of you've got
they're going to prison for a long time.
Well, they're going somewhere. They're going somewhere.
They're going somewhere. But I suppose that's the debate. Where are they going?
The issue you've got is, should it be Guantanamo or should it be allowing them to be tried in The Hague? You've got problems in terms of, for example, the daughter of the British aid worker who was beheaded. She wants them to be in prison and basically be there for a super long time. I think she came out in a BBC interview. She wants them locked up, but she wants them to rot in jail for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Then does she care which jail?
Exactly. This is a distinction. Josh, did you find
So it's known as YPG in Kurdish.
Okay.
It's known as the People's Defence Unit.
People's Defence Unit. Okay, interesting.
Which is what.
But basically, because they don't actually have they're not an army technically, so they don't treat each other with the same sort of distinctions.
I don't get it.
That's why Assad was able to gas people. He was allowed. He literally could gas people.
I do believe that sarin gas actually was set off by Assad when he was winning the war. It just seems counterintuitive how it's almost too good to be true. How he was winning the war, Russia was helping them, they were suppressing ISIS, and out of nowhere, sarin gas. And that gave the US a justification to use the largest ever bomb, the fucking mother of all bombs, the Moab, to take out a massive installation.
Well, wasn't that effective?
Oh, we didn't kill that many people, so it's fine.
To be honest, I mean, you could look.
Why would he do that? Why would he gas his own people? This is an entirely different debate, and and there's actually new proof and new articles I've been reading recently. They're saying that there's no proof now. It's all based on what's the word? Wild theories as to him gassing people with sarin gas.
Just bring it back.
Have known it's against the Geneva Convention.
Bring it back to where should they go? We're expanding here.
Oh, cats and bunnies.
So, Guantanamo Bay, should they go there? My argument, yes. Why? Because
America's the world police.
America. Well, yeah. The basic answer is yeah.
Is it
the UN security forces? So
is controlled by America?
Not even that.
They are America's puppets.
Just no.
No.
The UN security forces, which is the guys who wear the blue helmets and wear UN uniforms, is basically they take an attachment.
MPs.
They take people as in armed forces from each part of the world who signs up to the UN. So there's Russians, Americans, everything like that. But they don't hold, when they're in the UN unit, they don't hold any sort of previous ties to their country. So technically, the UN would have to, people who are attached to the UN would have to keep peace prospectively against their own country if a war kicked off.
So they'll defend each other.
Because the country would pull back their own soldiers anyway, so they could fight. Yeah. Anyway, the UN security force is renowned for being completely and utterly they have nothing when it comes to trying to stamp out this stuff. And this has been going on since the League of Nations was invented back after World War One. Because the League of Nations was invented.
Can you say the same for the international courts, though?
So even the international courts aren't that powerful when you really look at it. Look what happened recently in the international courts where they tried a Serbian war criminal. He was able to commit suicide in court. He drank poison in court.
That was himself. A cock-up that basically...
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they don't have... The entire UN international court system, all that stuff, they don't have the ability of correctly doing anything. Okay. They don't have the ability to militarily impose peace. They can't do it. They don't have
No
the will.
one has the ability because you can't militarily
and they
impose
don't have
peace.
the strength.
You can't.
Second-
They tried it in Iraq. They tried it in.
Second,
They can't do it.
their court systems, the court systems there are so bureaucratic that you can slip through so many different ways of doing it. And that's why Serbian war criminals, it's taken 30 fucking years to try them for their crimes. And now
What was he doing in that time?
He's
Was he in
probably
prison?
trying to hide.
Was he in prison?
He wasn't in prison, no. He was hiding. He was hiding in Eastern Europe. And then somebody eventually found him. Do you know who found him?
No,
It was
but
the fucking Americans.
If he was under trial and they found him, would he be in prison throughout that 30-year period? It was only because he was hiding that he wasn't in prison.
But what I'm saying is that
so
the UN...
these people, whilst they're getting tried, would be in prison.
So the UN security forces are woefully...
You're speaking about the inadequacies and the inadequacies of
court
the
system is
American...
inept.
the
One at a
reason-
time, please.
No, but I don't know why you've got this raging boner against America. Like, go.
I've got a
for-
raging boner for America, not against.
for America, exactly. Why?
Okay, so let's go back
Let's
to...
go in and give them some peace.
Let's go back to a good example of a Winston Churchill speech where he said that America is the the armorer of democracy. So they basically are they're the only superpower really left.
Do you also know that in order for them to get into World War II, Churchill had to send this box of all of the most advanced technologies that England was working on at the time to
Yeah.
get them on board?
That's
Yeah.
the Americans' fault.
Because
yeah. I mean,
obviously,
yeah.
all those Jews getting killed and fucking all the atrocities happening wasn't enough to get them in
did
the
you
war.
say
I'd like to say that they didn't know. Basically, a lot of people didn't know that was happening. Most people didn't know.
No,
that was
midway
happening.
through the war, they found out.
Well, the British found out, but they kept it secret.
Did they actually?
Yeah, they did.
I don't know why they
it's,
would do that.
it's uncovered under. They did basically. You know where they released papers after a while.
Yeah.
Basically, Winston Churchill covered it up
Why?
because they wanted to keep it so that it wasn't an ideological war. Because if it turned into an ideological war, they would have been in an even bigger shitstorm, and the war would have spread further. They just wanted it so that it was democracy.
They just wanted to get it over and done with.
They just wanted
That's
it.
a
so it
weird
was-
thing when
it
you've
was
got such an advantage over your enemy.
All they wanted was It's not an advantage. So the reason why is they wanted democracy versus
Ideology.
The ideology of fascism. And if they'd said, "Oh, they're killing the Jews," do you know who would have been in support of that? The entirety of the Middle East, which was the large percentage of where the British had put a lot of their armed forces. So then imagine, Jews and Arabs don't get on. They've never got on. They've never got on.
Really?
And basically, the fear was that the countries that Britain was occupying then would revolt, and then Britain would have to fight civil wars and also the Germans at the same time. So that's why it was suppressed.
I wrote, wow.
So then, going back to our actual point of why I have a big support for America, I agree that there are certain terms where it's just not ethically right. There's certain things it's just there are ethical problems, but I believe that's certain operators inside of the entire system of the American chain. But overall, when I look at it,
Well, so you're saying it's bad eggs.
it's bad people inside of a system.
Right.
It's not like a systemic evil organization.
No, I know that.
So what I'm saying
There's no
is
such thing as an evil
the
organization.
American army is the most technological advanced army. They're the ones who are willing to pursue foreign policy. So they're the ones who are willing to go out to other countries and affect change positively or negatively.
Was that the reasons that they went there?
So then also, I'm going to finish my points first before I come to that.
I'm just trying to get more out of you.
Then you've also got the point that they are able to, and they have the will to pursue these individuals down to... I mean, these are the only people who are willing to go after terrorist groups. If you look at what happened with Spain after they had a train bombing in Madrid, they left because they were in Iraq, and the reason why Al-Qaeda did the train bombing was to get Spain out of it. And once that happened, Spain went, "Oh, we've had civilians killed, we're stopping." And they pulled out. So they pulled all the Spanish troops out, even though they were in Iraq before. This is the issue. America has the ability to take a blow like that and
Why
come
did they
back.
go to Iraq?
Why did America go to Iraq is not the point here.
Was it
You know
because
it's
of
not.
weapons of mass destruction?
Who knows? I don't care.
Do you think it was because of peace and freedom, or do you
For this
think it was
debate-
because of
Yeah,
financial
yeah.
This
gain?
debate, Nicky, it doesn't
bring,
matter.
bring it back to the.
Yeah, we've kind of gone into the other thing.
Because what you're trying,
We'll
I know
let
what
the
you're
audience
trying to do.
decide why America did go to
But
Iraq.
if you just go on this, if you go on a hate argument, of I hate America, I hate America's foreign
no, it's not
policy,
that I
all that
hate
stuff.
America. It's their foreign
what
policy that
I'm
I do
saying
hate.
for-
Yeah,
One at a time, children.
What I'm saying is,
because they invaded my country as well.
some people. But what did they do it for good reasons? Or did they do it for bad
They
reasons?
did it
That's an
because we've
argument
got one of
for
the
another
highest
day.
concentrations
Again,
of
yeah,
hard water.
that's an argument for another.
And also because we
We're
were
segueing
communist.
way too much here, mate.
Yeah.
what we need to go into, and this is my entire argument, is the Beatles, these two lads who are from Britain, who have executed people of different nationalities, including American and British, they are not soldiers. They're not registered soldiers. They have no country of allegiance because they left Britain, so they don't have Britain's security anymore.
So they should be registered by the international community.
They could be. It doesn't matter. They haven't captured them.
Let me ask a question. Josh, you might have to find out. Who was it who actually caught them?
It's the YPG.
It was the
Kurdish rebel fighters.
The Kurdish rebel fighters.
So it's up to them what they do. Now, who is the YPG most closely allied with? America. They're being supplied by the Americans.
Right.
So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to go, oh, well, yeah, we could send these guys over
but
to
the argument isn't what are they going to do, what should.
And that comes off the back of it. So should they do it? Should they do it for themselves? Should they do it for themselves? So should the YPG... I'll come back to that as well, sorry. Should the YPG, for themselves, hand over the two guys who've killed American people over to the Americans?
And other
nationals, but... Should they hand them over to the Americans? My argument would be yes, because one, they're going to benefit that America will go, well, thank you very much, Kurdish rebels. Here's some more guns to help you with your fighting. And two, most people who have seen this news don't really give a fuck where they go as long as they go. And Guantanamo Bay is a brilliant place to be putting them because it's very secure.
Okay, so... Sorry, yeah, go on.
I'm just interested. Are they fighting Turkey?
So they're fighting. Turkey
America is supporting...
Turkey launched an offensive into the Kurdish territories.
So America is supporting someone that's actively and knowingly fighting Turkey?
Yes.
So a member of NATO?
Yes.
And they're destabilizing a region in that area and trying to alienate Turkey, who basically is under the control of a madman who basically thinks all of the Balkans...
In your opinion?
No. You think all of the Balkans are part of the Ottoman Empire?
You don't know he's mad.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Your opinion is that he's mad.
Erdogan, the beautiful person that he is, thinks that...
The leader of Turkey.
Yeah.
Who got rid of his prime minister.
They've also got the largest army in NATO. 4 million troops.
Yeah.
And it's also alienating one of the largest Muslim countries in the world with a large population.
Turkey.
Which country?
Sorry. Turkey.
There's going to be a religious war that's going to come out of this, seriously.
I think he's talking about Turkey.
Right.
Like, if
did Turkey have one of the most largest?
Yeah, 4 million troops.
I thought.
The
Sorry, no.
Muslim community.
Who are they alienating?
Largest
Muslim
army
community?
in NATO.
No, but the Muslim community that you said about.
So the Muslim community is the basically.
Oh, I think I know what you're saying. So you're saying that America, by supporting the YPG, are alienating the Turks. The Turks being the largest Muslim community inside of NATO.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what happens if they go the other way?
It's not like America gives a fuck about pissing off.
What if they ally themselves with ISIS, which they already have been proven to be buying their oil?
What the Americans?
Or
no,
Turkish?
Turkey.
Oh, the Turkey.
Turkey don't give a fuck.
What if then Egypt conjoins and then Libya conjoins?
Not going to happen.
It's a lot of what ifs.
What if then Syria conjoins?
It's not gonna
what
happen.
if that's a population of 800 million people that are pissed off? What if that creates a religious war?
I think they're all pissed off.
Which is actually what Nostradamus said.
Well,
we're segued so far off of this argument of whether it's right.
No, because I know I'm right. So at the end of the day,
I think the viewers here will now attest to the fact of fuck you, Mickey, for being so egotistical about it. Why don't you actually go to your point about why they should go to the international courts and not go to Guantanamo instead of going on this massive tirade around about geopolitical issues, which aren't really that important when it comes to the law. So stick to that topic, please.
It's an international issue. ISIS is an international issue. Let the international courts decide them. If you go to Guantanamo Bay, you are not subject to the Geneva Convention. You're not subject, and which is the segue that you said, no, you're wrong, and then it went to another thing. You asked me why, so... I don't agree with Guantanamo Bay. I don't agree with the systemic torture of basically getting people on frequent flyers where they can't sleep. Multiple atrocities where they've been accused of torturing people using fucking electric methods, like brutal torture methods from the 70s. Okay, no one should be put through that.
Okay, so
however fucked up they are, they should spend the rest of their life in prison. They shouldn't spend the rest of their life in prison while simultaneously being tortured.
Right.
Because God forbid that those people escape somehow and those people go back to a massive following back over in their home native countries.
Okay, so
people filled with so much hate will start up an uprising that will fucking kill us all.
So if they don't go to Guantanamo and they do get tried by the international courts, where is it most likely that they will actually end up?
So it'd be probably one of the supermax prisons in Europe.
Yeah.
Right.
So it'd be near the Hague.
For the rest
so the
of
Hague
their
had-
lives.
The Hague would stores like the Serbian and Bosnian war criminals, for example. It's just the issue I've got there is the reason why they're able to try those people there is because their usefulness had been totally basically surpassed. Like the way. So let's go to an example of.
Does it?
In essence, because they're so old. They don't have any ties to any more of that, so they don't have any more links to the rest of the cells. So the reason why I would suggest that they should go to Guantanamo is you're going to be able to get the information about the structure of ISIS, the structure of the cells in Syria. If you look at, for example, after World War II,
ISIS is all but destroyed, mate.
when you look at the example of World War II, you had the Nazi hunters, who were basically a community of Jewish people who went and hunted all of the Nazis. Some of them would turn them into the international courts and then they'd be tried. But some of them actually went down and hunted them down and tortured and murdered them because of what they did basically to the Jews during the Holocaust. What they did was they deliberately did it kind of very recently after to try and figure out, because they knew that they were all interconnected with each other, and they'd figured out that they'd all gone to South America, for example, like Argentina, Bolivia, etc. They all hidden. And their method of going down, hunting them down, torturing them, and then kill them led them to that route. So they were able to find them that way.
Eye for an eye kind of deal, yeah.
Well, Jews are renowned for the eye from the Torah, which is an actual...
Yeah.
It's a philosophical...
Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. I think we touched on that last...
Yeah, we did last debate.
Podcast,
so
episode 24.
The philosophical debate is... it's a religious debate for the Jews, technically. Christians believe something different, but anyway. So we apply it now to more modern sense of... And also, there's this like weird belief that the Geneva Convention must be adhered to at all points, no matter what, even though the rules have been bent and broken multiple times, and the punishment hasn't really been. I mean, we know America's broken.
America isn't.
We
the
know
world.
America's broken it. We know America's broken the Geneva Convention.
They have.
But there's been the UN. But what has the UN done to penalise them? Fuck all. Because you know the reason why? It's because you can't really penalise the world's greatest superpower. You can't do anything to them because they can do what they want. But they've been the world's greatest superpower for
this
how
is the
long?
biggest kid in the playground. Let's
80?
none of us fuck with him. Whatever he says goes. Whatever he tells us to do, we do.
That's how it is right
aren't
now.
in a planet of just 300 million Americans. There's 7.3 billion other people out there. They've got more weapons. They've got more economical clout. And if they wanted to, they can sway. You can't have, what is it? 10%. 5% of the world's population controlling the rest. How fucked up is that?
Well, we do, mate. Economically,
How?
1% of the entire world's
Oh,
population
you're talking about
owns 90%.
Talk about the countries
riches.
So you're talking about
GDP wise.
America is the main superpower in the world right
It
now.
is.
China's got
I
a
was going
larger
to say
GDP.
China's sorry
20
no.
trillion as opposed to...
China is getting there.
Yeah,
I had to throw the
impression of Donald Trump.
impression.
Yeah, just to
okay.
clarify.
China's
Because
winning.
The great way that he says
India by 2050 will be more powerful than
But
America
that's
in their
2050.
economy.
I mean, what I'm
Yeah.
saying right now is the only one who's willing to go with an aggressive foreign policy in pursuing against terrorist states is America.
It's personal gain. It's
I'm never saying it's not
personal
personal
gain.
gain.
It's
I mean,
not-
America is all about what America's sake. They want to keep themselves perpetually the superpower.
Which ironically,
I'm not
they're
saying
doing the
that.
opposite of.
What I'm saying, mate, is when it comes to you want basically the best results of capturing two people who were deeply embedded in Islamic State. You basically, if your holistic idea is to completely destroy Islamic State because it's an evil organization, an evil ideological organization, you want all the information in their fucking heads. You want to drag it out as best you can. Now, in advanced
torturing
interrogation,
them.
You're
arguing for torture right
is
now.
done is done by the international courts because they use sleep deprivation as a torture method in international courts for interrogation.
Just going to go on a
So why are you arguing that for Guantanamo Bay?
Because it'd be a hell of a lot better.
But they're
I think
under,
used
they're
to
under
it.
certain guidelines there. They're not under just the Guantanamo Bay guidelines, which
Because
is
Guantanamo
none.
Bay has been doing it for how long? 20, 30 years they've been doing this? They're fucking experts at it. They've got torture experts.
Oh, here we go. So he's arguing about who's the better torturer now.
Yeah. You're confusing me to go
Okay,
like, what's more
okay.
moral? I'm just going, what's more
Guantanamo
effective?
Bay-
I'm just going to go
they're better
on
at torturing.
a tiny little segue here. I don't know if you remember this. It was shortly after Trump got inaugurated.
Yeah.
That's the word, isn't it? Inaugurated. Yeah. I know a word.
Well done.
And it was the FBI guy that was on trial, wasn't it?
You mean the super tall guy who got fired?
Yes.
What's his name?
I'm pretty sure it was
Tony?
him. You all right?
You're right.
Oh, fine, yeah. Just tense my chest a bit.
All right, calm down.
Oh, there we go. I yawned, but at the same time went backwards. I don't know.
Right.
Smooth.
So yeah, it was the FBI guy.
FBI man.
I can't remember his name.
It's Coney, I think.
But he came out and
Coney, surname.
All right.
Big tall guy.
Oh yes, yeah.
Big tall guy with giant hands.
Yeah.
Who found out he was
not
fired?
that Coney. He came out and he was saying about the advanced torture techniques. That's something that the FBI use, and they said he was.
Everyone uses them.
He was saying against them because they don't actually work. They're
very
not
true,
that
actually.
effective. You don't actually get a lot of information out of people.
That's a good point as well.
Yeah, but you'd rather him in a prison that's... Sorry, people in a prison that... It's not even that. It's just the fact that everyone is part of this world. You can't deny it. Everyone that's alive is in some way a part of it. So why is it only the Americans that get to decide what to do with them? Why?
Because they're the biggest bully in the playground.
So basically, you're just admitting that America bullies everyone else, and you see the favor that America's currently getting.
I like how you say like that. I'm like that's a negative to me. Like that's not a I'm never saying like America isn't. Like I'm not saying that America being a bully is a bad thing. I'm like
How is it not a bad thing?
I genuinely think they're the only country who can do that. They're the only country, and the international system, as has been proven,
they were the only country after
for
the collapse
80
of the
years,
Soviet Union,
doesn't
but now
work.
new powers are in play. You can't just go around doing whatever the heck you want, which is what America's been doing for the past 40 years.
You kind of contradicted your own thing there.
You can't continue
You can't. Right. Okay.
because the world.
You kind of just went. You can't. They can't do that. That thing that they've been doing
It's a
for 20 years.
globalized world.
They're gonna keep doing it.
Everything
There's
that you
nothing gonna stop
do
them.
gets found out.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying.
That's
that
again
doesn't matter.
going into the future, the bigger
It doesn't
the bigger
matter. This is all
picture,
future
potential
shit.
down the line.
Right now,
The future shit is that everyone should decide what to do with criminals, not just one country. No, sorry, they've got the biggest army. They should decide because they've got the biggest sticks. I got big boom boom stick. I decide.
What the fuck was that impression?
I don't know. That was an American, mate. That was like.
I've got a big boom boom stick.
Yeah,
I got a big boom boom stick.
There we go. That's better.
I do whatever I want with my boom boom stick 'cause I've got nukes. Yeah, Texas.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I love
Texas.
Texas.
I mean, that's
I actually really like Texas.
that's super xenophobic, but you know.
Cool,
whatever.
right.
No, Texas is really good.
Just
and they've
round
got
up-
a
I'm
lot
going
of
to
guns.
move this along to
we-
closing statements. I started with your opening statement first, so we'll go to Mickey's closing statement first.
I don't know what my statement is.
Simon wins!
I mean, I win.
There's
this,
no
so,
winning,
yeah.
but you win!
I mean-
go on, Mickey.
There's it just doesn't. I can't compute as to why we're even debating this, but
It's almost like this entire thing is a gentleman's debate podcast, and we debate topics that technically aren't our opinions.
It just feels like-
you didn't do that right. When you said the gentleman's debate, you had to go, it's almost like this is the gentleman's debate podcast.
I'm
It's
just
all about the look into the
So
camera.
look into the camera. Sorry.
I'm expecting you to be against the whole. War
You're
crimes
assuming
and-
this. You're assuming, mate, that this is our personal opinions. I'm just going from as we did last time, where you had to argue a point that you didn't really believe in. I'm
Yeah,
doing the same thing. I genuinely think that there are certain aspects of American like persecution that there is. However,
You can't-
when looking at it objectively, just pure objective, I'm taking my personal stuff out. You look at America. You look how pervasive their entire social... Just look at their media. Not their military strength, not the political, nothing. Just media. How deeply does it saturate our entire lives? We use American words. We dress in American clothes. American coffee we drink. It's so saturated.
Technically Colombian.
But it's made by an American company.
Right, okay.
So you look at how heavily saturated you are.
Just
And now
being a really
you look at the
pedantic
TV
bastard
shows. You look at the system of court. You look at all this shit, and it's so heavily saturated by America. Now, Guantanamo Bay
Really?
is the most. I mean, you've also got what's the other base?
We
The other-
influenced their language, you know, like our food was
We
influenced
did.
from Italy, from India, from China. We've got influences from like multiple places.
But-
America's only been around for 300 years.
And we discovered them!
to round up the
America's
point.
like that kid in the playground who's the youngest kid who's like, I've got the biggest gun. You got to listen to me because I've got no history.
Fuck, kids have guns in the play. American kids, actually.
To round up our entire point around about whether 2 fucking Islamic State fighters should be put in Guantanamo Bay or not, as in tried in the international court system. Just give them to fucking America. Just give them to America. They're going to get probably the best results out of them. They aren't going to escape from Guantanamo because where the fuck are they going to go? Cuba? It's a fucking island. And and this is the best bit. Cubans, by the way, there's an agreement they have because of Guantanamo Bay that if somebody does step off that land, the Cuban army kills them.
Also,
Instantly wipes them. So the only way it can happen is a large military effort is done by some very advanced military to get all those prisoners off. And then
as far as I'm aware, Cuba really likes America from the history. They have not a bad bone to pick against.
You're being
America.
sarcastic.
Yes.
Yes, that wasn't very obvious.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That wasn't very obvious,
No.
but they
Right.
That's my type of sarcasm.
My point is to completely round this off and go on to another subject because we need to. Is they're not soldiers. They don't apply to the Geneva Convention, so America can do what they want. Guantanamo Bay is the best facility to store these people and keep them from getting into the general population. And they probably have the best way of interrogating them to get more information out of them to hopefully stop the mass fucking genocide that Islamic State are causing. That's my closing statement.
Cool.
Thank you.
Basically, let's just give them to America. They'll torture them best. They know what they're doing.
Are you trying to be sarcastic again?
Yes.
They'll torture them best. Yep, they will.
This is an international issue. Leave it to the international courts. They will get the punishment they deserve. This is as much to do with the fact that everyone gets an equal say as to do with the fact that America isn't the leader of the free world.
It is,
but it isn't. And you can argue your point based off, facts and figures, but you can't argue something that it hasn't got any fact or pretense behind it.
Cool. Right. So, Simon, Guantanamo Bay, because America, fuck yeah. They can literally torture the shit out of them.
Guantanamo Bay should be closed.
And still,
that should have been the argument.
And still go home and look their wives or husbands in the face.
Thank you.
Mickey, it's an international thing. The ethics of just handing them off to a country who are going to do these things, like these horrible, horrible things to them, where it's actually a worldwide issue. It should be tried with all the countries having a say. Awesome. That was a good debate, guys.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
Like a bit heated and a bit less gentlemanly than I would have liked, but it was all right. It was good. I will give you the fist bump of respect.
Gentlemanly.
Boom.
I like that word.
I like that one.
Gentlemanly.
Right,
we should be more
should we
gentlemanly.
do funny news.
Yeah.
Funny news.
Funny news shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
we've got time for just one debate. Yes.
So,
Wait, never mind.
we have two funny news stories planned.
Okay.
This first one's just a bit more heartbreaking than funny, if I'm honest.
Oh.
Oh no.
So hang on. So the funny news section that we have is actually heartbreak section first.
If it involves an animal that dies,
A little bit.
I'm not speaking
Oh
to you ever again.
no!
Not an animal.
Oh.
What?
So,
Oh, it's a human. Oh, I'm not.
All right. Give us it.
I'll just read it out.
read
shall
it
I?
out.
Yeah,
First.
yeah.
Come on.
Be a lot easier.
Come on, Josh.
So,
sorry, go on. I'm in a right swattish mood today.
So-
You're a
every
little,
time-
you're a little twat.
So, high five lollipop man slapped with ban.
Oh, I heard
heard
something
about
about this.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw this.
So, there's a 83-year-old lollipop man who normally high fives for school kids, as you do.
Does he high five mum? The ass.
The article doesn't say that, if I'm honest.
Sorry, I couldn't resist that joke.
There's one for the Me Too debate.
Anyway.
So he's 83 years old.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it for the past 14 years.
Is it literally because he high fives the kids and people have complained that he might be a paedophile? Is that the reason
He's an
why? He's been
83-year-old lollipop man. He's definitely a
So
pedophile.
it came from the council that they've basically said just keep on, concentrate on ensuring highway safety
right?
and not high-fiving the school kids. But the parents of the kids are pretty much outraged by it.
No, they're outraged by the fact that he's been banned, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's apparently been reinstated.
Oh, really? So what? He's allowed to high-five them now?
No, he was fired, as in like you can't no longer be a lollipop man.
No. Was he
No.
fired? Read the article a bit more, see if
The
he was
article
fired.
doesn't say that he was
Is
fired.
that up to date? Because I heard it on the radio yesterday.
Really?
Just have a little Google search for that. That's so bad, isn't it? It's so
Yeah.
stupid. They're like, oh, it's got to be highway safety. He's a fucking lollipop man.
Any person now, it's like Any person on the street is a paedophile. Like,
No, their main argument is that the fact that he's apparently not doing his job of keeping children safe.
have you heard about that weird thing? I don't know if this is actually a thing, but
Segue whilst Josh is searching.
yeah. Apparently, parents now have to take this test to make sure they're not paedophiles for their own kids.
That's not surprising. But well, it's surprising that a test has to be done, but yeah, because there's lots of stories about parents abusing their children.
Oh,
That's been throughout history.
That bums me out.
It's horrible, but
Fucking hell. This
humans
is meant to be
are
funny.
sick, horrible bastards.
This is meant to be funny news.
That's
That's
why
so
dogs
hard.
dogs should take over the world, because dogs are better than humans in every way.
Thanks for cheering me up there.
Get me a puppy, someone, please.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say anywhere that he was fired.
I'm going with Josh's research.
Okay.
But still,
But he's not.
to be slapped with a ban and face
either fired
possible
or left
council
slapped.
punishment, just literally for
Do you know where?
high-fiving kids.
Do you know where it is?
It is.
I think I know what council it was.
Bet it's down south.
No.
No.
I think it was Stockport.
Stockport, yeah.
Stockport County Council did it. What about you twats, eh?
So he's known.
Fuck you, Stockport.
He's known by the kids as Lolly.
Oh.
Hang on. Lolly, isn't that a prison term?
I've no idea. I've never been to prison.
Could you just Urban Dictionary lolly?
I'm sure the kids don't use it in that.
Sup, Lolly?
I don't know. Modern day kids.
I'm pretty sure that
Right, little shits.
I'm pretty sure that lolly is a term for a guy who gets a female guy who gets passed around by all the other guys to fuck. I'm pretty sure that's what it means. He's like a little guy. He's like a little guy that all of the big guys fuck. I think that's what it is.
Like a little 85-year-old lollipop man that just gets passed around and all the big guys to fuck.
After high-fiving all the students on their ass.
Fuck me.
That's what he says to Mickey.
Well, this went downhill.
Well, I've made it funny now, haven't I?
This has got descended into absolute chaos.
Oh yeah, it's designed to be
Yeah.
chaotic.
Next one.
So.
I still want lolly to be proved. I'm pretty sure lolly is like a prison
unfortunately,
term.
I can't find it.
Oh, well, I'll have a search.
And he also doesn't want to search that on his computer.
Lolly prison term.
What would I be called if I was in prison?
What would I be called if I was in prison?
Well,
And I was being passed around like a piece of meat. And they were just going all over me.
Anyway,
Oh, you with that?
Gobble it up.
mate.
Let's gobble it up because I love the taste.
let's finish this.
so apparently, Lolly is also known as a blowjob.
Oh God.
Yeah, you suck a lolly.
Yeah.
Like you suck a dick.
Bum, bum, bum.
It must be a Cockney thing because it's a quote from Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels.
Of course, it's a Cockney thing.
Of course, it's Cockney. Cockney. Right. Next article, please. Can't find that.
So, your search history on your computer looks really weird right now. So I've had to load it up on my phone instead.
Why? What did you start pulling up?
You'll find out.
Giggity.
You know.
So,
Oh,
Please
you know.
enter your username and password to find out.
so
Oh yeah.
police on poo watch over drug suspect's loose strike. So the alleged drug dealer hid the goods in his body
Oh,
and
no.
is still refusing to reveal them to officers after 3 weeks in a cell.
my God. Oh my God. 3 weeks without a shit.
Yep.
He's gonna die.
It's dysentery, isn't it?
No, dysentery is when you can't stop
His
shitting.
bowels
Oh, yes, God,
his
yeah,
bowels
sorry,
will
yeah.
explode.
He's literally gonna have to. If he doesn't shit, he's gonna die.
So originally they granted the police force permission to keep him in detention and initially for about 190 hours.
Right.
So they've had him back in court to ask for more time to keep him in detention.
He's probably
They've done this about 3
can you go
times
to court?
already.
He's like, I can't get up. Just go.
No, that's the thing.
Having to waddle.
He's probably in that. They're probably not in his body. Well, they're probably not in his body that way anymore. He's probably just whilst he was in the cell. He was like, right, they're not looking. They're not looking.
He's probably. I'm not gonna lie. He is acting a bit guilty by not pooing. Just a bit. Have you got drugs in your bum? No, I don't.
Well, why?
Well, we'll wait for you to poo. Okay. I'll poop. 3 weeks later, I'm gonna poop.
That's the thing. They just slip a laxative in his fucking.
I just take
drink.
a long
no, I
time
don't
to
think they're
poop.
allowed to.
Are they not?
No, I don't think they're
So
allowed
it's
to.
been trending on Twitter as #PooWatch.
To watch. Yeah.
Only Twitter could have it.
Hashtag waiting for the poo explosion.
They're getting quite frustrated with him. And
How does he sleep?
He must be getting frustrated.
How does he not wake up in the middle of the night having shat himself? Like, oh, shit.
I've got
I
to
just,
check.
I would
Police
love those.
officer just going like that.
No, what I think's great is I love the techniques that they'll be trying to use to get out of him. Do you want this? Do you want some food? How about this lovely curry that we've got here?
How's about
he is refusing to eat.
a large chunk of celery, sir?
Again, he's just acting really guilty.
How's about
really guilty.
a ton of potatoes? Trying to get as much fibre in you as we can.
So
Why doesn't he go like in and try to fish it out, pull it out,
Because you
Do you want that job?
and then go for a shit and then eat?
Innocent until proven duty.
Oh,
Yes!
Stop this for the love of
Yes! I've been waiting to do that one, like he is. Hey, there we go. Oh, so
do we have any more?
I just don't understand how you can keep it inside for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
like 3 minutes, and I need a boost.
I've had several since we've been doing this podcast.
Explains a lot, doesn't it?
I thought it smelled in there.
So, have we got another one?
Nope.
No. Well, that's that.
We're ending on poo watch.
We're ending on
Hashtag
poo
poo
watch.
watch.
Hashtag poo watch. So is that what we're going to call the video? Hashtag poo watch. I love it. Like he's in prison, and he's like, oh, let's just check out some YouTube, because they probably have YouTube now in prison. And he's like, oh, hang on, hashtag poo watch. I was associated to that. Hang on, these guys are making fun of me having a shit.
Why is he not
Who isn't
arguing for the
making
fact
fun of
that
him
he's
at
got
this
like
point?
they're wrongfully putting him in
Imagine if
prison.
he's just got an issue where he can't poo in like public places. Imagine he's got like a phobia of pooing in public places, and he has no drugs
And they're
in
just
him.
staring at him, yeah.
Come on, shit!
And
Shit, man!
And he
He's
probably
like, no, I
can't
don't
shit in the
want to.
toilet, so like, shit in this bucket.
Well,
Shit in it. You're a drug dealer. Shit in this damn bucket and we'll wait.
Imagine if he just looked like just somebody who was a drug dealer. And then they're like, come on, we know you got drugs, and he's genuinely, he might just be
Just
agoraphobic.
not a drug dealer.
Imagine if he's agoraphobic and he doesn't want to go
Some guy
outside.
like-
He's not used to it. Poor guy. I feel sorry for him a little bit.
Jeez.
I also feel
Yeah,
sorry.
I feel sorry for them in this hypothetical scenario that I've just concocted in my head. It's just like,
What are you staring at?
what? Just looking at them.
You keep
He's
staring.
he's
You
checking
keep
the
staring out the
camera.
window.
Camera.
Sorry, I keep thinking you're staring out the window, and there's somebody like stood there like, come on, get out, come on.
it's the police officers, and they're waiting to get Josh when he leaves and
to test work.
to see if he can shit in a bucket.
I feel sorry for the
I do love that.
after
Just
after
like-
this guy eventually does, bust the
Well,
seal.
they can't let him shit in a normal toilet because he'll just flush it, so it will be in a bucket. Like, seriously, and there's probably some police officer with gloves and a knife just waiting there. Shit in it.
Why a knife?
Do you think they're just gonna poke him in the belly until he shits himself?
Hey, it's not Guantanamo Bay.
Okay,
Bringing it
that's
back to
fair.
the previous.
Oh,
To be fair, if it was Guantanamo Bay, they'd get a massive fucking glove, right? They'd go right in and they'd be like, and then pull it all out of him.
like
Whilst four
you
guys
get
are
the
fucking-
drugs. Oh, I accidentally
There's four
brought your
guys, right?
stomach
Imagine
as
this,
well.
that are holding your arms and legs.
And you're getting
They
fisted
pull
in
down
the
your
ass.
pants and someone fists you in the ass to get him.
I think you just got to take it.
What a great Friday night.
Yeah,
you wouldn't
yeah.
be you wouldn't be arguing so much for Guantanamo Bay.
I
if that
usually
was
have to
you.
Friday nights.
I usually have
in
to pay for quite a lot for that.
Guantanamo.
For those kind of services, I usually elite.
I also
They might
feel.
use a coat hanger though. You know.
Oh.
That's Guantanamo Bay.
No, that's not
No,
the proper
mate.
use for. No.
No. Right, we're not making these kind of jokes.
Stop it. Yeah.
Stop that now.
I do feel like I have to sort of explain earlier during the debate when I looked at Josh and I just said, that is our plug for Hitler. Because obviously, no, it was what I was telling you about. So basically, I was at work. This is why that came up. It wasn't anything sinister. I was at work and I was putting on a ticket at work.
Could you clarify what a ticket is? Most
A
people don't know.
ticket. It's a job that gets logged to us through a
Online portal.
web-based software.
CRM.
Huh?
No, no man.
But so I was basically I was putting on a job. I had to put no further access required. Unfortunately, I had the mishap of mistyping the word further into Führer. So it was no Führer access required.
You know that's not how it's spelled.
Pardon?
You know that's not how it's spelled.
What? How do you mean?
Führer is not spelled how I think you misspelt it. Did you just leave the T off?
No, I actually properly mistyped it by
You typed the word Führer.
So you could tell what was in your mind at the time.
So what were you fucking watching a Nazi documentary or something?
I've recently started rewatching Band of Brothers, so I think that may have been in my mind.
Oh, right, okay. So that's made you go, oh, hang on, Band of Brothers, where it's a load of Americans.
Yes, but they're in World War II, you derp.
You derp. You could have called me a twat, cunt. You went
could
for
tell
derp.
Sam's really angry when he calls you a
You
derp.
dwerp, you. It's like what a hobbit fucking says. You wee ball bag.
Well, I have been accused of being a hobbit on several occasions, so apparently I look like Frodo, but...
You don't look like Frodo.
People have said that I look like Elijah
You do
Wood.
not look like Elijah Wood. Not to shoot down your hopes and dreams, but you do not look
I
like...
really want to look like Elijah Wood.
You do not look
Then you
I wanna
really
look
would
like
be.
me.
Then you really would be a lolly.
God.
Oh, Lord.
That guy's lucky he's not in prison. That's
Oh,
all
my
I'm saying.
God.
Fucking hell.
Oh, my God.
Stop
It's
it
so
now,
bad.
please.
What?
Stop.
Just Elijah Wood or a hobbit?
Oh,
Not in prison.
what? Kim Kardashian?
What?
Have you not seen that South Park thing?
No.
My girlfriend's not a hobbit. Kanye West.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
I haven't seen
yeah.
that, sorry. I haven't seen that South Park.
Yeah, but Kanye is
Kim
also a
Kardashian.
gay fish.
He is. He's a motherfucking gay fish.
Right.
Oh my
Well,
days.
on that note...
That was fun.
Do you like fish sticks?
No.
Okay.
Okay. On that note,
On that,
ladies
I
and
never got
gentlemen,
that joke.
let's finish up the
fish
Gentleman's
sticks in
Debate
your mouth.
podcast. We had one debate today. We debated around about whether Islamic State fighters should be in Guantanamo Bay or go to the international courts. Me and Mickey debated it. Let us know what you think in the comment section down below. Also, if you found it particularly interesting, us talking about lollies and prison lingo, then please share it with your friends wide and far. Also, if you want to connect us with the hashtag PooWatch on Twitter, then please do as well.
I'm just surprised they haven't shut our channel
I
down
can't
yet.
believe there's a hashtag for that. Fucking Mary. Twitter is so fucking weird. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the Gentleman's Debate podcast, please subscribe on iTunes. I think you can do it on SoundCloud and all the other podcasting applications. But also subscribe to our YouTube channel, so now you can see our lovely faces, apart from Josh, who doesn't have a camera on him as of yet.
Also,
What?
shit in this bucket.
Shit in this bucket was another thing to do. If you haven't done that yet, shit in a bucket. That's a new. That's
a
the
new
new
hashtag. Shit in the
No,
bucket.
it's the new version of the ice bucket challenge.
What is wrong with us today?
Oh, that's. It's only a dark
Imagine that
joke.
going around Facebook.
Oh.
I nominate
And it's not a bucket.
Dave, Judy,
And Keith.
Yeah, but come on it up.
This has been the Gentleman's Debate, episode 25, our 25th episode anniversary. Josh, please say goodbye.
Well, I'm going to go sit in a darkened room right now and reassess my life.
Thank you.
See you
Sam,
guys.
could you say goodbye as well?
Goodbye, everybody.
Mickey, could you say goodbye?
I have to work 12 hours after this. I've got just this in my mind.
So, on your closing notes, what would you say to our audience? How would you say goodbye?
If you need a shit whilst you're at work,
As Rick and Morty would say, existence is pain.
And ladies and
Six.
gentlemen, my name's Simon, and it's been a pleasure having you listen to our wonderfully thought-provoking conversation.
Talking about pooing in a bucket.
See you later, you
God,
beautiful, beautiful people. This has been the Gentleman's Debate podcast number 25. Goodbye.
Yeah, Texas! Texas!
yeah. Oh, you ruined it. That's not a beat.
Ball bags, ball bags.
I love